Welcome back. Now we are going to do the corner orientation, and the orientation will be a simple process. Even though it is called as simple, it needs to be done correctly, which I was not understanding earlier. So I'm just trying to help how we can do it right. So the steps are very simple, but you need to be careful about what you're doing. So since all the corners are in the right position with the edges, the colors, they are matching: green and red, blue and red, blue and orange, green and orange, they are in the right place. So take anything. If there is nothing that is oriented already with the yellow on the top, you can take anything. If there is a yellow on the top that is already oriented, ignore that and go to the first place where you don't have the correct position. So you start with this algorithm, which is r prime d prime r d, and you will have to do this continuously till you get the yellow on the top. Keep in mind there will be a lot of distortions, but keep your face, the front and the top in the same position, and then continue doing it. R prime d prime r d, r prime d prime r d, r prime d prime r d. Now you see this, it is oriented correctly, and your position is also right. The orange is matching, blue is matching, and yellow is matching. This place you need to be very careful not to do the mistake that I did earlier. You should not move, rather you should keep the front and the top in the same position and move the top layer alone to the next piece which is not oriented. And since I moved it to the position, I was not able to figure it earlier. So keep in mind the oriented piece should go, and the next to be oriented corner should come here into your buffer position, which is the top right. Now you do the same algorithm: r prime d prime r d, r prime d prime r d. Now you see this is also in the right place. Now it is now oriented. Keep in mind, keep the same front and the top, move this top layer, and then bring the next one which is to be aligned, which is not oriented. R prime d prime r d, r prime d prime r d. Now you got this yellow orientation. Now you move this again, keep the front and the top as it is, upper and the front as it is, and then do this: r prime d prime r d, r prime d prime r d, r prime d prime r d, r prime d prime r d. That brings us to the orientation. Now all you need to do is move it to the same color, and you would see that surprisingly your cube is solved. And this is a very simple step, but many of them miss the key thing, that the buffer position that you are keeping should remain the same. The front and the top remains the same. You just rotate this layer to do the r prime d prime r d. If you do this, it will continue. Even I can distort this cube to do the same r prime d prime and the formula, and then keep rotating it, it will come back to the same position. So this is how we solve this Rubik's cube, and now we are successfully completed a Rubik's solution with Fridrich method. Congratulations and have a good time there. Bye bye.